Hi everybody, thanks for joining me here today for the first in a little series of shaves that I've got using slant razors. Now the first razor I've got is a Maggard's own brand slant bar razor, and I've got the head here. You can see it is a very nice finish on the head. It is described as having a matte grey finish, but you can see that there is a slight sheen to this. It is very nicely finished. There we are, that is the underneath of the cap, and of course we have the guard bar, which is again very nicely finished. Now I'm going to be using that with a Dulco New Platinum Stainless Steel ST301 blade, and I'm going to be using the same type of blade for all of my slant razor shaves so that I might compare them. Now I used this razor on Monday, today is Wednesday, and I used a Dulco blade for the first time on Monday, so this will be its second use, and I plan to follow that pattern throughout the series. So let's load the blade up. I'm going to be using this today, as some of you will already know if you've seen my Sunday sit down. I'm going to be using it with my Muller 106 handle. It seems very nicely balanced with this handle. The balance point is there, so you know, that seems quite good to me. You can see with the handle on the twist in the guard, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Now it does say on the Maggard website that the head sometimes needs manual blade alignment, and there's a little bit of play in the blade fit. So I'm just going to try and get that as good as I can. But you can see that, perhaps you can see that the blade is showing less here and more here, and the opposite way around on the other side. And I've noticed that with the blade gap as well, there seems to be this discrepancy between one end of the gap and the other. Now honestly, I don't know if they are designed like that, but it seems from looking online that this may be quite a normal thing, and that one side of the slant bar razor is more aggressive than the other because of that. I must say I find this to be a strange design. The slant is not as much as I thought it would be. You can see there is quite a large blade gap there, but not too much blade exposure. It does say also on the Maggard website that this is not a razor for beginners, which is very interesting. I'm just going to put some proviso white on. It's a zinc alloy razor that comes in at $19.95. It doesn't come with a handle for that price, it is only the head cap and the guard. There is more information on their website about that play in the blade fitting, but it is a very reasonable price, I feel, and I'm really glad that they were up front in explaining that, and they explain it in more detail, their reasons for allowing sale to go ahead with that minor adjustment being needed. Now I'm going to be using cold water today, and I'm going to be using my Frank shaving brush. I wanted to be sure that I had a good and even lather throughout the 3 passes. I'm going to do 3 passes today. I'm going to be using a Wickham soap, Ninfeo di Agiria, which is a lovely soap, quite slick, so that's what I'm going with today. And through each of my shaves with the slant razors, I'll be using a Wickham soap because I've got a Coca-Cola, I've got a leather, got a few. So let's load my brush. That's a bit too dry. There we go. So there's a lot of information about slant razors I've found. Some of it seems to be conflicting, but I've found some good resources, and I'll put the information that I've found in the description to this video so you can have a look at some of the information that I've been looking at. Now, slant razors are definitely associated with Germany. They were very popular in Germany, but actually the first record of a slant bar razor being patented was in 1915 by a Thomas Wilde, an English gentleman from Birmingham, England, and I'll put the patent information link in the description to this video as well, so you can have a good look at that. There's some very interesting information. Now, I've super loaded my brush. I've got a little bit carried away there, but never mind. I'm going to face lather today. Now, while I'm just doing that, how have you all been? I hope you've been well. Had a pretty good week so far, I must admit. It's very nice to be using cold water again. The sun is out, I'm using a slant razor, I thought why not? The cold water feels absolutely great with the menthol from the proviso pre-shave. I'll keep adding a drop of water to this. going to just add a drop more to this. See if we can make it nice and slick. There we are, I think that will just about do. Now with this type of razor, the blade is torqued or twisted, obviously, as you can see. I expected more of a slant than that, I must admit, but if you've never used one before, you use it the same way as you would a normal double-edged safety razor. Now it is recommended that you use light pressure with these. This one, the Maggard, is designed on an old 1930s Mulcutto Paul Muller razor, and it has the same design as some of the Icon slant razors. But it says this is a little more aggressive than the Icons. I'm going to mark, or give this, no, I'll rephrase that, I'm going to give certain aspects of this shave a score, and I'll do that in the description. But one of the things I'm looking at is blade feel. For me, I find there is a little blade feel on this razor. It is certainly not excessive. It's not excessive at all. It feels very nice to use. It is a comfortable razor to shave with at this point. I will expand on that later. But it certainly is a very comfortable, very efficient razor. Now I have thought that I would be able to talk about comfort and effectiveness of the shave. I'll rephrase that. How effective the shave is without really mentioning aggression. But I've included a mark for soreness after the shave. In vintage shaving books, I've seen a few online where they give instructions to the barbers of the day using a straight razor. The idea that was prevalent at that time seems to be to use the razor at an oblique angle. Now, when Gillette brought out their safety razor, they followed on with this idea, only of course it had to have a name, it had to have a branding, so it became known as the Gillette Slide. And that is not something that somebody has just made up. It is detailed in their instructions on those early razors. So I guess a slant razor is trying to bring about that idea of using the razor blade at an oblique angle to get a closer shave. And that seems to be a common thought with slant razors, that the slanted blade cuts easier than a straight blade, and it seems to be, and I've had a couple of comments on last week's video saying that slant razors work very well with a really heavy or dense growth. So perhaps it's because of that action, i.e. the blade is like a guillotine. That's the common idea that seems to have been accepted with a slant razor. And I think it's accepted that a slanted blade does indeed cut better than a straight chopping blade. But I think there's a lot more than that going on with a slant. This is lovely soap. It's really creamy. It's got great cushion. It's nicely slick, very nice. And the smell is lovely. You know, talking about that slant on the razor blade, there were, looking back, various designs that try to achieve this. There was a triangular razor, can you believe that? And there were even razors where the blade itself was actually arced. Quite an incredible thing, really. Now obviously they fell out of fashion, or they weren't very good to start with, and the slant bar seems to be the best design. Because it's the one that's stuck around. Now I'm trying to use really light pressure with this razor. More so than I normally would. With any other razor. The reason for that is that I shaved on Monday and I had a very comfortable, very efficient shave, but it left me very sore indeed, particularly on my neck, but actually it was all over my face. So I thought that I had good technique, but I am just trying to make certain that my technique is good on this second shave. I didn't want to come to the sink and it be the first time that I used it. Now on this second pass, there's considerably less blade feel and considerably more comfort. It is just gliding over the skin. Now I'm in the middle of having a discussion with somebody about slant razors, but no doubt there'll be more information to come if I can get it. But a couple of people have put forward a few suggestions about slant razors. Nader, forgive me if I've got your name wrong, sir, has forwarded me a translation of a discussion on a German forum. Now, the older blades that were in use, certainly around 1915, 16, that kind of date, were much thicker than the razor blades we have now. And the person on this forum suggests that at the time they were 0.10 millimeters thick, and I've verified that by looking at the Maggard website, where they show a picture of an old blade with the thickness stamped on it. Now this person suggests that in experimenting with the thickness of a blade allowed them to produce a sharper razor blade, more in line with something that we've got today. So the razor blade thickness went down to 0.8 and even as low as 0.08 and even as low as 0.06, and thus they were able to get a much sharper blade. Now this gentleman suggests that that razor blade then fluttered a little bit in your standard DE. Now that was the bit that I was unsure about, because I have a 1916 Gillette razor, and when I put a modern razor blade in, there is no flutter at all that I can see or feel. So I wondered if that was necessarily correct. And surely on the old type razors, or any razor, you know, you clamp the razor blade between the head and the guard and tighten up the handle, and surely that would take all the play out of the razor blade. Maybe. There may be a bigger gap because of that thinner blade, but I wasn't sure about the fluttering. But it's been suggested by a couple of people that the torque on the razor blade actually stiffens the blade. That seems to be quite a well-known idea, and perhaps that makes it more like an SE razor blade, because that stiffer blade is in effect like a thicker blade, and perhaps that is why some gentlemen get irritation with using a slant bar razor. Now, I don't know that one way or the other. I don't know if that's true. I'm just putting it out there for discussion. One thing that occurs to me is that I get a very good shave with a standard double-edged safety razor. And I find it hard to see really how a slant razor might improve on that. Now, I've got plenty of slickness on the skin, so it looks like I'm just rubbing the razor against my skin, but it's flying across there. There's absolutely loads of slickness. Excuse me, I just need to look at another page in my book. Yeah, okay. Now I can feel already that I have a little soreness here. So what I will do, I won't give my marks immediately after this video. I'll wait and see how that develops, and then I can give you all the information afterwards. And I'll give the information for both of my shaves so you can see the first shave with the information from the second shave. Just a word about the blade. The Dorco blade's very nice in this razor. Now I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to chase BBS with a new style of razor, and in fact you'll know from my videos that I never chase BBS. I usually get a very good shave, and sometimes I get BBS without trying. I wanted to use essentially the same shave as I usually do, so I've done 2 passes in a downward direction on my face and 2 passes in a downward direction on my neck, and only 1 against the grain on my neck and across the grain in both directions on my cheek. So that was the plan all along. That's what I normally try and do, so that I can kind of compare it to a normal shave for me. Now I'm just going to drain a drop of this water, excuse me. Give my brush a little quick first rinse while we're at it. Now I am going to use alum block today. And I'm just going to rinse my face, so excuse me please. That's quite sore. I must admit, there and there, that's quite sore. Let's get the alum out and see how we did. Really, this is the first time, I think, that I've used a razor that doesn't have very much blade feel, has a little bit. It's just a nice amount for me. It's very comfortable to shave with, and it certainly is very efficient, but despite that comfort, I do feel it's quite aggressive because of the soreness that I've got going on here. Yeah, so it was interesting. I thought I might be able to say, well, you know, it's a mild razor, but it's efficient, and not really talk about aggression. But I think with this razor, aggression definitely plays a part in it. But it feels like a super, super comfortable shave, and this kind of a little bit of razor burn, it's better today, but I'll see how that develops. Has been somewhat of a surprise really, because it's a lovely razor in feeling to shave with. Now I'm just going to rinse this off, and I'll put on some aftershave, and then I'll be able to feel how close a shave I've got and how smooth I am. There we go. I'm just going to dab my face rather than rub it. And, do you know, I'm not sure that it really goes with... No, I'm changing my mind here. I'm going to go with the Nivea Sensitive Cooling Post Shave Balm today. Definitely sore, guys. Now on my first shave, that soreness was pretty bad, and it lasted overnight. And even the next day, I was still sore just under this jawline here, so that was quite long lasting, that bit of razor burn that I had. It did make my skin red, so as I say, we'll see how I go with this one, and I'll let you know in the description. Now, I'm not bothering with these bits. They are never usually BBS because of the way they grow, and that's just mine. I can't go against the grain there. So I'm going to ignore those bits and concentrate on the rest of my face now. With the grain, on all of my face, it is pretty good. I've just missed the tiniest little bit in there. I needed to open my mouth more, and yeah, I've just missed a little bit there. That was my fault, not the razor's fault. Now, I don't usually shave against the grain on my face, but despite shaving against the grain, I quite often get a really, really smooth shave. Now, at the moment, just there. Around here is pretty good. You saw me go against the grain here, and this is excellent. And there's a little bit that I missed on my chin, but I find that to be a little awkward anyway. Yeah, so I'll bear that in mind and mark its efficiency accordingly. So that's my shave with the Maggard own brand Slant bar razor. It works very well on this Moolah handle. I think it's a good price, but it is $19.95. It doesn't come with a handle unless you buy one separately. There doesn't seem to be an exact matching handle for this head, but yeah, it's been a very interesting shave, and there'll be more to come with the other slant bar razors that I've got, because 4 of them are the same type of design as this, so I will let you know as we go along what I think of them. Certainly that was a good shave. If I could do away with this soreness, I'd be very happy, but some people's opinion is that you get a little bit of soreness because the blade cuts better, and that's why you have to be super light with it. That's my thoughts up until now. I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching. You enjoy yourselves this week. Have a good weekend. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.